A very warm welcome to Study IQ. I am Prashant Mavane. I hope you all are doing good. Dear friends, the topic that we are going to discuss today is stubble burning in India. As we are speaking now, we are in October 2017, and this yearly exercise of destroying the climate and choking the people of Delhi and other parts of our country has already started. The reason why I have selected this particular topic is because if you go back to your past papers, then you would be happy to know that every year you find at least one question in your mains examination that has a direct relation with climate change. The things that are going on around the world, the things that are going on in India, may it be related with urbanization, or may it be related with this sort of things. And this is a thing that is not only having a sort of negative impact with the people of Delhi, but if on a bigger picture, if we analyze the data, then we find that the whole Indo-Gangetic plains gets affected because of this stubble burning. Dear friends, before moving ahead, please allow me to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses for different exams like SSC, Bank, UPSC and other government exams. StudyIQ offers best pen drive and tablet courses because they are designed by the best faculties of our country. If you have any further queries regarding it, you can feel free to give us a call on this number, and you can also check out studyiq.com. Now, dear friends, Diwali is just around the corner, and keeping this occasion in mind, we have decided to provide you 33% flat discounts on all the items, on all the pen drive and tablet courses and other test series for UPSC and other exams. So make the most out of it. Let's see what we have got in this stubble burning issue. Now, we know that Punjab is, of course, we know it is a very common knowledge that it is considered as India's bread basket. And this can be understood if we go through the fact that 20% of the wheat produced in India are coming from Punjab, and 10% of the rice that are produced in India are also coming from Punjab. If you go through the bigger picture, or if you go through the agriculture picture in particular, if we analyze this with the help of thematic map of wheat production and rice production, ignore this 2014 and 15, the picture is same. There is no sort of difference when it comes to wheat production and rice production in India when we are talking about 2017. So there is no difference. So this picture is going to be fine. So when we talk about wheat production, then you can see that Punjab is there in wheat production. It is Haryana is also there in wheat production, Himachal Pradesh and parts of Uttar Pradesh and also parts of Rajasthan. And when we talk about rice production, then we find that it is Punjab, Haryana and parts of Uttar Pradesh. So this particular three states, Punjab, Haryana and parts of Uttar Pradesh, particularly we are talking about this part here, right? So this parts are also growing rice, and this is important. It is important for us to know that to locate this particular states, because first of all you would be able to know that these three states are engaged in producing this wheat and rice. And the other thing is that if you go through the agricultural season, then as well you will it would help you to understand that see, from May to September and from November to April, when we talk about Punjab, you can also take these two states as well, because the weather is more likely same here and the agriculture season is also same. So from May to September, and then you have a small gap of a month, and then you have another season from November to April. This season is of course the Kharif season, right? And this one is a Rabi season, the winter season crops, you can say Rabi season, and the Kharif ones are of course the monsoon one. So when it comes to October, typically the farmers, their rice is ready, and all the stubble, whatever the left, or you can say the unwanted grass that is left on their field, and the best thing they do is they burn it. Why they burn it, why they do this thing, is because there are some financial issues associated with this thing. If we go back to the history of stubble burning, then we find that before 1980s they used to do it manually. That means the harvesting and plowing of fields was done manually. But we know that there are lots of Punjabi people living out of India, and this is not I'm talking about some 20-30 years ago. They have been living out of India for nearly hundreds of years ago, isn't it? Somewhere around before independence as well. We find this Gadar party and all these things taking place in America. So you can say that they were living, Punjabi peoples are living in different parts of the world, particularly in the developed countries like UK and USA. So they are sending remittance, right? They are sending money back to their family members who are living in Punjab. And because of this thing, when Green Revolution started in India around in 60s, at that point of time, they were getting capital from their NRI relatives, and because of that, Punjab and other states like Haryana, they were able to adopt technology with their agriculture. So in 1980s, this whole mechanization of agriculture started in Punjab, and they started using combines. Now, combine is a machine that you can see on your screen. Within a couple of hours, or in a matter of, say for example, a day, it can harvest huge amount of field, right? It can harvest huge amount of field. But the negative thing of this thing is that when you harvest the crop of paddy, it leaves 1 foot tall, nearly 1 foot tall grass that we call as straw, right? That has no utility for human beings. That's what the farmer consider. There are some utilities, and of course we are going to talk about solutions as well, because it is easier to identify a sort of problem, but it is really you can say that it is difficult, isn't it, to find a solution, because solutions are not something, it's not that is easily available. We have to go through many different aspects, and then we have to analyze and see whether this will be a viable solution or whether it will be a sustainable solution or not. But of course, the solution that we are going to discuss in this particular lecture is going to be out of box. You can bank on me. I can assure you that if you use this solution, right, then it will, I guarantee that it will fetch you good marks, because it is an organic solution, right? So if we go back to some basic items, then we find that as I told you, that you can consider not only this Punjab but the whole state. And during this time in October, we see that this sort of stubble burning takes place in the state of Punjab, Haryana, and other parts of North India as well. Now the thing is, why do they do it? The combines are not able to do it. This is a reason, but why they are not sorting out this straw, paddy straw? The thing is, the first or the main reason is main problem that we find in our country is cost. We know that we have a huge amount of small farmers, so if they are manually sorting this thing out, then of course it is going to take many days for them to sort it out. The other thing is that there is a very small gap between summer and winter crop. As you can see from this thing, that they have just a month, and when we take these seasons, then you can understand that it is not specific that on 30th September things should be over, from 1st October you have one. No, it doesn't work like that, isn't it? You have, sometimes you have a fortnight, sometimes you have 3 weeks, many times you have less than a week as well. So it all depends on whether the field or the crop is ready or not. So based on that, we can say that on an average, generally speaking, they have a very short gap between summer and winter crops. And the quickest thing, right, they find is that the quickest and the cheapest as well way is to burn the stalks. When they burn it, they can sort out the field, and then they are ready for this winter crops. And other areas, or you can say other issues or other reasons, could be lack of incentives. They don't find any utility of this thing. They don't make any money out of it, and of course they don't have sort of equipments as well that can sort it out. And if we go through the statement of M.S. Swaminathan, who is considered as the father of Green Revolution of India, then as per Mr. Swaminathan, India produces 140 million tons of paddy and 280 million tons of rice straw in a year. Can you imagine how much this is? And if we compare this thing with the numbers, right, the negative impact of stubbles, and if we compare the harmful impact of this burning of stubble, of 1 ton of stubble burning can release 2 kilo of sulfur dioxide, 3 kilo of particulate matters, 60 kilo of carbon monoxide, 1460 kilo carbon dioxide, and 199 kg of ash. So this is a very serious thing. And if we are producing this much amount, if we are producing 140 million ton, then you can imagine. And if you have this sort of problems, right, you have cost concerns, you have short gap, you have lack of incentives, you don't have equipments, and if you think that this is the cheapest and quickest way to sort it out, then of course farmers will opt for this thing, isn't it? Now the other thing is that there are many studies that has been done on crop residue and fires, but we hardly find any particular specific study on this issue of stubble burning. But in 2015 there was a study was conducted by Springer, and the name of the study is Socio-Economic and Environmental Implications of Agricultural Residue Burning. These are some of the figures of that thing, and if you go through the Springer study, then they say that 35 million tons are burned in Punjab and Haryana alone. Imagine 35 million tons. Now when you multiply this 35 million ton with these figures here, then you find that it is killing our environment, isn't it? It is choking the whole Delhi. It is not only choking Delhi, but it is also choking other parts of Indo-Gangetic plains. And if you see through, if you go through the NASA picture, you can see here red dots. This whole red dots indicates that fields are being burned. And if you can observe here as well, you can see this gray area here. This is all smoke. And this is not limited to India only. Even Pakistan is also doing the same thing, because we have a very minute difference in culture and agriculture. So this is the thing. And then you find other gases as well, like N2O stands for nitrous oxide, and then you have NO2, that means nitrogen dioxide. SO2 stands for sulfur dioxide. These gases are of course greenhouse gases. All the gases that we have discussed so far are greenhouse gases, and the CH4 stands for methane. So you can understand that this is all negative when it comes to stubble burning. If we go through the other losses that the farmers have to go through, they don't know these things, but this is been done by this research has been done by many institutions that are associated with science and environment, and with this agriculture thing or agriculture sector. So they come out with saying, like, if we go through the statement of Polash Mukherjee, and he says that the damage doesn't end here, means the damage doesn't end with this stubble burning thing or the climate or the gases, but it also takes a heavy toll on soil, because the nutrients are lost. And you can see here that 339 kilo of nitrogen is lost, 6 kilo of phosphorus, 140 kg of potassium, and 11 kg of sulfur is lost when you burn 1 hectare, right? Per hectare we lose this much things. Apart from that, microorganisms and small creatures like earthworms, we know it very well that they rejuvenate the soil, isn't it? After every harvest season, they rejuvenate the soil, and they are also considered as a farmer's friend. When we go through our basic books, right, standard 6 or standard 7 books, then we find stories regarding how earthworms and microorganisms, how they help farmers in making or providing the nitrogen back to this to the roots of the plants. But here farmers are completely ignoring this thing. This has been said by C.R. Babu, who is a very famous ecologist. So these are the things, these are the other losses that farmers have to go through. And apart from that, if we talk about the health issues, then we know that these fine particles, right, they penetrate deep into our lungs, and we know that there are many people in Delhi and other areas that are suffering from lung diseases because of this stubble burning. There are other reasons as well why we have high pollution in Delhi. Of course, we know that Delhi is number 1 when it comes to pollution around the world, but there are other cities in northern part of our country, or you can say there are other major cities in north or Indo-Gangetic plain of our country, and this part is one of the most populated part in the world as well, most densely populated portion in the world, because of Ganga and Yamuna river, and because of the fine soil it has. The plain has a very fine soil, and because of that we have huge amount of population living here, but we are risking them all. The elderly people who are suffering from some sort of cardiac diseases. They are very vulnerable and they suffer a lot. Children's, as I told you, there are many children who are suffering from it, pregnant ladies and other people as well, other vulnerable people. They do face a lot because of this chronic because of this stubble burning. They are going through chronic respiratory disease. Now if we talk about the geography, why this thing takes place here, and remember these items, right, this nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium and all these things are important for your prelims examination. They can clearly ask you a question, the gases or the things that we lose because of stubble burning, and they can also ask you the harmful gases that are released. Of course, you don't have to remember each and every one of them. You don't have to remember these figures as well. They won't ask you this sort of figures because they know that it is difficult for you to remember these figures. But you can, on a bigger picture, if you just arrange this data, then you find that carbon dioxide is the highest amount of gas that is released in this thing, and the lowest one is this SO2, that is sulfur dioxide, right? So in this way you can play with these figures, you can arrange them in ascending or descending order, and this will help you to remember this fact. And these are other gases that you should keep a note of because they can be asked in prelims examination. So yes, I was talking about geography. Now with the help of this map here, all right, it is a bit small one, but it would be enough for what we are going to chat about. Now we know that monsoon season, during monsoon the winds are coming from south and western part of our India. This is north here, of course this is east, then you have south here, and this is western part. So the winds that are traveling from this part, they are known as southwest winds, and because they are traveling from they are crossing this Indian Ocean, they are carrying this moisture with them, and they are then pouring rain in this part of our country, isn't it? The whole country. But what happens in the winter time, right? In this time of the year, in October, these winds do change their course. They change their, you can say, path from southwesterlies. They become northwesterlies. So the winds are blowing from this part, right? So when you are burning things here, say for example, let me help you with this map. Say if you are burning things here, earlier the winds were coming from this side, but now the winds are coming from this side. So if you are burning something in this part of the world, then of course this part of our country, then of course the wind is going to carry all the dust particles to other parts of our country, isn't it? Because the winds, the direction of the wind is this way. So that's what happens here with Delhi as well, because of this change in the wind pattern. In this time of the year, this whole area you can see here, this is the blue arrows represent wind direction, and hot spots are of course the places where this sort of stubble burning takes place. So this is one of the main reasons why Delhi is in such a situation when it comes to October. The other thing is that it accounts for the stubble burning, and the pollution created by the stubble burning accounts for 12 to 60% of Delhi's pollution. Now one more thing regarding your prelims examination, and of course it helps you with your understanding as well. If they ask you a question, many times you do find this sort of questions in your examination, that they twist and turn the question and then they ask you. They try to make it more difficult. But if you go back to the, if you have clear understanding of geography and how things work, then they won't be able to sort of manipulate, or you won't be in a sort of labyrinth situation, right? So if they ask you a question that Delhi gets affected by the stubble burning smoke in the summertime, then your answer should be no. If they ask you like severely impact, or if Delhi is severely affected by this thing, then the answer would be no, because in the summertime, as we know, that the winds are blowing this side, right? They are they are southwesterly winds, generally speaking. So because of that, they do take place in the winter time as well. We know that there are two seasons, and we have straws of leftovers or grass of wheat as well. But what happens is during the wheat season, they start planting wheat in this November season, and the crop is ready by April. So they burn this thing, the wheat straw, in April or May, around May or June time, but it does not impact Delhi that much because of the wind direction is and not heading towards Delhi. So this is one reason. So keep this thing in mind as well. I hope this is crystal clear to you. And firecrackers, we know that Supreme Court yesterday, in fact, the Supreme Court has again ordered the 2016 ban that was applied in National Capital Region of not trading with firecrackers has been reapplied by Supreme Court. And of course, the thing is that one thing that I would like to add here regarding, as we are talking about pollution and things and the situation in Delhi, then this firecracker thing, we know that it is a religious thing and people are practicing this thing for the longest period of time. But Diwali is a season of light. It is not a season of noise. And the other thing is that it again impacts, or it adds more pollution, right? It adds more pollution. And if Diwali, now this, we are in October, Diwali is after 9 days, right? After 9 days. So Diwali is, if we have both these things, if you have stubble burning as well as this firecracker thing, then you can imagine how much it would be difficult. It would be a very choking situation, isn't it, to live in Delhi. And this PM 10 and PM 2.5 are, the way they are increasing, they are deteriorating the air quality of Delhi. So when this sort of things happen, once these things are clear, the outcomes and negative side of this stubble burning in terms of both loss in terms of microorganisms and earthworms, and in terms of the impact it has on by releasing this greenhouse gases, we know that if we go through the newspapers, then the funny thing that we find every year, right, is a sort of ping pong that happens. Ping pong basically means a sort of table tennis that is being played between these two players, farmers and government. Farmers keep on saying that we are not provided anything by the government, and the government keeps on saying that we are trying our level best, we are doing it, but farmers are not applying the things that we ask them to do. And here as well, you can find the same thing, that farmers are saying that we have not got any sort of help from the authorities, and because of that we are left with no option. We have a very small period of time, we don't have that much money, we don't have facilities and equipment, so how we are going to deal with this stubble burning? And the government is saying that things cannot be done overnight. We are trying our level best to provide assistance to farmers, we are extending subsidy as well, but farmers are not using it because they want to burn the things and they don't care about environment and things like that. But that is not right as well. There are many farmers who are saying that we understand that pollution is impacting, the burning of this stubble burning is having a negative impact for the people of Delhi, but we have no option left for us at all. And National Green Tribunal is also time and again scolding states like Punjab and Haryana for not providing or not following its order, because it was in 2015 as well. National Green Tribunal has clearly stated and it has clearly directed the state governments to take both coercive and punitive, basically means to take steps to stop this sort of things, right, or take a proactive step before this season starts, arrange everything and make sure that this sort of ritual of burning straw is not conducted in these states. And it has also said that if anyone is found burning stubble, then you should also penalize them. And the penalties are fixed by NGT. They have said that any farmer who is holding a land of 2 acres, and if he or she is engaged in this stubble burning, then they should be charged with 2,500 rupees. Medium farmer should pay 5,000, and the larger one is liable to pay 15,000 rupees. And it has also said that do provide machineries as well for free of course to small farmers, right, who are having less than 2 acres. And of course for medium one is again 5,000, and for the larger farmers is 15,000. But then as well, we see here and there, we find many governments in the court arguing and trying to provide its excuse regarding this phenomena. So solutions regarding this thing, now as we know that this thing is going to be there, and until and unless we find a profitable way, because the main root cause here, and if we want to sort it out, and Swaminathan has also stated this thing when he met Prime Minister last year, he said that this paddy straw thing is going to be there until and unless we find a profitable way. There should be something that should motivate farmers to stop this thing, isn't it? If we provide them an opportunity, then we can find something, we can find a solution, or else this thing will keep on going and on and on. And cutting this manually will cost you 1,200 rupees per ton. So this is again going to be very costly. Who is going to buy this thing from you for, say, for example, 1,500 rupees? I don't think so there is anyone. Then there are machines as well that you can use, like this is a happy seeder machine, and this is the machine that NGT is also talking about. It is saying to the government that provide this happy seeder machine to farmers. And what happens with this happy seeder is that rather than uprooting this leftover straw, it will push them back in the field. So what happens is, after a couple of days, we find that this decomposition of this leftover will start taking place, and there are many studies that suggest that this sort of things will increase the overall yield. It will provide the required nutrition and other things for the next crop. And for providing this happy seeder, you can either give it on a rent, or it can be given for free for small farmers, of course. But for the bigger farmers or the medium farmers, government should also provide some sort of tax break, so they can purchase this thing. If there is a tax break, then if there are other subsidies and other things, if there are some push and pull elements added to this happy seeder, then we can see that farmers will purchase them. But again, so far we don't see, this thing is there, the technology is there, but then as well it's not working. So there should be something else, isn't it? And we know that Nitin Gadkari recently said that this paddy straws can be used for fuel production as well, isn't it? You can produce some chemicals out of it, and then this can be used for fuel production. They can be added to the fuel. But the thing is, the whole operation of chopping them down, collecting and supplying, and the money that you get by supplying this leftover straw to these power generating companies, you find that it is worthless. It is waste of time. You don't make anything out of it. In fact, you don't get enough what you have invested. So again, this thing is also not viable. So what can work? Now the thing is, Swaminathan has said that paddy straw can be used as animal feed. It can be used in cardboard making and paper making. In Maharashtra, in fact, there has been some sort of research and technology has been developed in Maharashtra for using this paddy straw as animal feed. If we add urea and molasses in this paddy straw, then you can feed it to the animal. And Myanmar as well has done very well when it comes to paddy straw, the usage of paddy straw as animal feed. But when it comes to animal feed as well, a goat can help us a lot, right? Goat are the most sturdy of all these ruminant animals. And the thing is that earlier there was a time when this paddy, before the mechanization of agriculture in parts of Punjab and Haryana, the shepherds were allowed to graze their sheep in these fields. But after this invention of machineries, they were not allowed to do this. There was nothing was left, because they used to burn it. So because of this thing, the goats were not able to find food for themselves, and gradually the number of goats as well, looking after goat became a sort of unviable business for the shepherds as well. So the population declined, and because of this thing, we find a less quantity of goat at present what it used to be, when we compare things with what it used to be. And forest grazing is also not allowed by the forest department, because goats are very aggressive eaters, right? They eat away anything. And because of this thing, they will impact the natural growth of, if they are allowed to graze in the forest area, they will impact the natural growth of the forest as well. So to keep this thing in tab, they are not allowed to go in the forest. So what can we do with this goat, or what goats can do? The speciality of the goat is that it can, of course, give us milk and meat as well. The meat of goat is highly priced. The other thing is that the milk of goat, at present we know that communicable diseases like diabetes and other diseases are spreading around our country like a sort of like a flu, isn't it? And because of this thing, many diabetic patients are required, or they are asked by the doctors to drink milk of goat because it is light in sugar and it is easy to digest as well. Apart from that, the mothers, lactating mothers who are not able to feed for various health reasons, then the goat's milk is an alternative for the baby as well. So in this way we can ensure the nutrition, or we can fight malnourishment as well. And you know that there are many products, like you can produce cheese, and goat cheese is quite famous around the world, and it is used in many different food items in our country as well. And when we talk about this rice straw, then we find that the silica content is quite high, and it damages or it disturbs this digestive system. And the other item is lignin content, which again hampers digestion. And we have all this ruminant animals like cattle, sheep and goats, but out of all this cattle, sheep and goat, the goat's digestive system is the toughest, and it has the best digestion rate as well. So how we can do it? We can supply this thing to the stall feeding system like this. The picture that you can see on your screen is about stall feeding. And if we set up this stall, if government is providing some money and subsidy and some support, research and development for this stall feeding, then we can have huge amount of goats, and these goats can be fed. You can add urea and molasses with this thing, and goats can easily digest this thing. The other thing is that if the goats have to go out, or if you have to take them out for grazing, then they are burning more calorie rather than taking in. So by stall feeding, you can just add food in the system of goats, and they don't have to spend that much energy as well in finding food, so they would be able to produce more milk. That means more profit for farmer. Just like Operation Flood, we need some sort of operation, this sort of operation in goat as well in our country. And the other benefits of goat is that cows produce only one calf, whereas goat produces 3 to 6 kids, and they mature very fast, and it also costs less. And the best thing is that even a poor villager can afford a goat because it is strong and it is less disease prone. So you don't have to spend money after the veterinary items and medical facility of goat. They are very sturdy, and just a little bit of research and development and some support is required in setting up this stall feeding. And once we do this, then we can sort this thing out forever. And you know that you can make huge amount of money, because India is exporting meat of goat as well to other countries like Saudi Arabia and other Arabian countries and other African countries. So if we have more goats, we can produce more, and the dream of our government of doubling the income of farmer by 2022 can be achieved as well easily. Everyone would be happy, the people of Delhi would be happy, the goats would be happy, and the farmers as well would be making huge amount of money. So this, I think, is the most organic solution we can have for this thing. It will not harm anyone, it will not harm environment, and it is achievable. With this, dear friends, I end this discussion here. I believe that with today's discussion you might have learned many things, and the solution of course was something out of the box, and it is of course a scientific solution. So you can utilize this example in your mains answer writing. Remember, dear friends, 33% off is a pre-Diwali sale thing, so you have very few days to go. So if you haven't got this pen drive and tablet courses, get it as soon as possible. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Share this link, share this video, this lecture slide with your friends and other people who are interested in knowing things regarding stubble burning. Share this with your friends in Delhi, and do give us a like if you have learned something out of this discussion. Pass your valuable comment. With this, dear friends, I believe that all of us will ensure that our environment is green and clean. Stay calm, stay curious. This is Prashant Mawani signing off. Jai Hind.